gas flaring. NLC takes over National Secretariat of Labour Party, insists chairman must resign. In other foreign scene, Finland named world's happiest country for 7th year in a row. I am Ife Chukwumoyele with the news. Now, amid the poor power supply resulting from the rationing of electricity nationwide, a stakeholder in the power sector, Innocent Lord Douglas, says gas exportation must be reduced for a regular power supply in the country. Mr. Lord Douglas, the South-South-Southeast Regional Deputy Secretary General of the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies, said the federal government should reduce the exportation of gas to other countries. He spoke to our correspondent.
Only exportation. Federal government are exporting the gas system, and the companies now export more where they make so much gain than they are selling locally. So giving more to local companies like this generation companies for the sake of our electricity sector will be of a tremendous help to the Nigerian society. The generation companies are having difficulty having gas, and without gas, turbine cannot be operated, and without turbine they can't get energy. The issue of gas is to be addressed by the Nigerian government.
Mr. Lord Douglas also explained why the government is acquiring some of the shares in the distribution companies in the country.
It's just like checking the health of the discos. Some discos that are not healthy or very capitalized. There are laws that are guarding their takeover, and if they are not meeting up to the expectation, some of them go in very seriously, and some of them are not paying counterpart funding. Some of these discos has been discovered that they can't even pay salary, even when central bank make their deduction to continue, because continuing means that it's going to cause a colossal loss, so it's going to affect both the workers and even the public.
Recall that in January, the transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, confirmed that a poor power supply experienced by electricity consumers nationwide was caused by a shortage of gas. In another development, an environmental rights activist, Five-Face Dunamene, has called on the federal government to end gas flaring. He said the government focus should not be on constituting a governing council to attract investment in the power sector. In February, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited said its joint venture with Total Energies has achieved zero routine gas flare in all its assets. Mr. Five-Face, the Executive Director of Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, spoke on this in an interview with correspondent Sir Bioruwari.
It's not possible. Nigeria has been setting the goalpost for the stoppage of gas flaring over the years, continuing, and it will continue because there is no plan, no infrastructure in place, no preparations, no blueprint to really be able to convert the gas into a commercially viable venture. So I do not see Nigeria being able to achieve the stoppage of gas flaring by the year 2030. So I believe that the funds that are flowing to the communities as a result of gas flaring will continue to flow. I don't think that is going to happen. I can give you around 2060 or 2030, which is about 6 years from now. I don't think that is going to happen.
The rights activists also urged the federal government to review the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA) to reflect the true status and meaning of host communities as it pertains to benefits accruing from the funds set aside for the gas flaring.
Issues of position holding and control, issue of equitable sharing formula for the various host communities, because one of the challenges we have in the Petroleum Industry Act is the fact that the Act did not really explain and give a thorough definition of what a host community is. So I think they should look at this in line with those communities that are really producing the oil, the communities that are really experiencing gas flaring, and ensure that they have greater share of the amount that has been jammed for them compared to those other communities that don't have pipeline passing through their area.
Recall that the federal government recently inaugurated the Governing Council of the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, which has the target of attracting investment in the Nigerian gas sector. In the meantime, the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, Femi Gbajabiamila, says the president has set aside 340 billion naira for power infrastructure upgrades across the country. He said the fund was earmarked in the 2024 budget, assuring that the president is committed to reliable power supply in the country. Mr. Gbajabiamila said this at the commissioning of a substation in Lagos State. Away from that, the federal government says it has uncovered the identity of 15 entities, including 9 individuals and 6 bureau de change operators and firms allegedly involved in terrorism financing. This was revealed in a document by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU. It said that the Nigeria Sanctions Committee met on 18th March 18, where specific individuals and entities were recommended for sanction following their involvement in terrorism financing. In the meantime, some Southeast members of the House of Representatives, led by Ikenga Ugochinyere, have called on President Bola Tinubu to invoke the relevant sections of the Constitution to discontinue the trial of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. It followed the dismissal of the IPOB leader's bail application by the court, which he said was another major setback for the healing process and return of peace in the region. Justice Binta Nyako on Tuesday rejected Kanu's bail request and granted an accelerated hearing of the criminal case against the IPOB leader. Speaking on behalf of other Southeast lawmakers who were in the court, Ugochinyere stated that granting Kanu bail would have provided an opportunity to open doors for discussion to bring about peace in the Southeast. Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, who spoke to newsmen after the court proceedings, also accused the DSS of maltreating the IPOB leader.
They eavesdrop on our conversations. In the little cubicle room of 10 by 10 where we consult with Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, they have secret listening devices and secret photographic and videographic devices. They listen to our conversations secretly, they take our secret photographs, and we adduce this evidence before my Lord. They confiscate our legal documents. They don't allow us to take notes. Pray. You may be lay men and lay women. The general public may not be lawyers, but is this fair?
Away from that, following the controversy surrounding the killing of 4 military officers and 13 soldiers on a peacekeeping mission in Okwama community in Delta State, a group known as Urobo Renaissance Society says the killing was not done by the community people. In a statement, they condoled with the army, describing the killers as yet to be identified unscrupulous miscreants disguising themselves as youth from Okwama community. It said the enemies of the community carried out the attack on the soldiers to give the community a bad name. The group, however, questioned the mission of the Nigerian army on the Okwama and Okoloba community and wondered how the civilian members of the peace mission survived to tell the story, but no soldiers survived. The statement urged the president, Delta State governor, and military authorities to stop the army's alleged continued attack on innocent civilians and the destruction of properties in Okwama community, and allow for proper investigations to unravel the true state of event and bring perpetrators to justice. Now, yesterday, the Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborowori met with President Bola Tinubu over the incident. Briefing State House correspondent, the governor said the casualty figure and extent of damage of the Okwama community are still being collated. Governor Oborowori said the incident was unfortunate and assured that there would be no more attacks on the village if there were any before. Also, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio said those involved in the killing of the soldiers may be mercenaries. The Senate President said this during a debate on Tuesday. Still to come, today is World Oral Health Day. Stay with us. Growing conflict between the NLC and the leadership of the Labour Party, which seemed to have escalated as the Labour Union this morning instructed its state councils and political commission to barricade Labour Party secretariats across the country. Letter by the NLC alleged that the Labour Party chairman Abure and the National Working Committee of the party secretly planned to conduct a national convention in Umuahia on 27th March to re-elect Abure as the sole administrator of the Labour Party. The NLC said the planned convention was illegal and is demanding the immediate resignation of Abure as the party chairman. And now, as the world marks World Oral Health Day today, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Dr. Ipalibo Harry Banigo, has advised members of the public to go for regular oral checkups and maintain healthy habits to avoid oral diseases. Dr. Banigo, who was the former deputy governor of Rivers State, said this in a statement released by her press secretary, Precious Abia. She says neglecting oral health could lead to systemic diseases such as osteoporosis, anemia, diabetes mellitus, leukemia, fluorosis, and even HIV infection, which can be transmitted through oral sex. Dr. Banigo also highlighted key projects in the 2024 Appropriation Act, including dental having to take care of the mouth while advising people to avoid oral sex, saying it is not healthy to the mouth and the entire body.
I brush in the morning. If I want to go out in the morning, come back around the evening time. Before I sleep, I must brush at least twice in a day. Without checking up for hospitals once in a year.
If I brush once, it's once in a while that I say that I will brush in the morning and also in the night. But going for oral checkup, just brushing your teeth alone. The last time I learned was 20,000. That 20,000, I know what it will do for me and my family in a week instead of going for a checkup.
I teeth 2 times a day. Like I brushed in the morning. When I come back, I brush down for evening.
About this oral sex, to me it's not advisable because I don't see the reason why a man will be putting his mouth in a woman's private part and be sucking it. It's not advisable because there are germs in that place that you might not see.
As you may know, a report by the Global Burden of Disease Study of 2019 shows that 3.5 billion people worldwide are affected by oral diseases. The theme for this year's celebration is "A Happy Mouth is a Happy Body." In business, the Senate on Tuesday passed for second reading the amendment to the Extradition Act 2004. In entertainment, comedian AY says social media is a place where people become foolish. And now to sports, two-time African Games champion and world record holder in women's 100-meter hurdles, Toby Amuson, is up for a third consecutive title at the African Games as she lines up in the final at the University of Ghana Sports Complex today.
And now we'll bring you news from around the world.
Finland has remained the happiest country in the world for the 7th year in a row, according to the annual World Happiness Report published today. Finland's Nordic neighbors Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland also retained their places in the top 10. Now that's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. A stakeholder has called for reduction in gas exportation to improve power supply in Nigeria. Environmental rights activist Dumnamene Fine-Face has urged government to end gas flaring. The NLC has taken over National Secretariat, has been named world's happiest country for 7th year in a row. The news was edited by Constance Mega. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I am Ifechukwu Moyeli. Many thanks for listening.